There comes a point in life when you don't want to just believe anymore. You want to see, you want proof, not to doubt, but to feel the truth directly. That's exactly what happens in chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. After hearing Krishna's wisdom again and again, Arjuna finally says, Krishna, I believe you are the supreme, but please show me who you truly are. It's one of the most emotional moments in the entire Gita. When love and curiosity merge, when the devotee asks to see God face to face. I have created a complete Bhagavad Gita playlist, one video for each chapter. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out after this one. Now let's continue to our journey with chapter 11, the cosmic vision. Arjuna's voice trembles with humility. Krishna, by your mercy I have understood the secret of creation, but now I wish to see you, the form in which you pervade the entire universe. It's not arrogance, it's longing, the soul's cry for divine revelation. Krishna smiles. He knows Arjuna is ready, not intellectually but spiritually. He says, you cannot see me with these your human eyes, but I will give you the divine vision. Behold my cosmic form. This is important. We can't see God with ego's eyes. Only through surrender can we see the infinite. And then something unimaginable happens. Krishna reveals his Vishwarup, his universal form. Sanjay, the narrator, describes it with awe. Arjuna saw the entire universe resting within the body of Krishna. Countless faces, eyes, ornaments, weapons shining like 1,000 suns. Imagine that, the entire cosmos, galaxies, stars, time itself, swirling within one divine body. This is not a poetic exaggeration. It's a direct experience of the infinite consciousness that holds everything together. Arjuna looks at, he's speechless. His heart races. He is seeing both beauty and terror, creation and destruction, the dance of eternity itself. Sanjay says, if 1,000 suns rose at once into the sky, their radiance would be still not equal to the splendor of that being. Arjuna sees Krishna as the universe itself. Mountains and oceans flow through his body. All directions merge into him. He has countless faces, smiling, glowing, thundering, every god, every element, every creature, all inside him. And then Arjuna begins to tremble, because this is not a gentle sight. It's the truth, raw, infinite, unstoppable. He sees warriors rushing into Krishna's mouths, their fates sealed, their deaths already written. He realizes that this war, this life, this whole drama is a part of Krishna's cosmic plan. Arjuna's voice shakes. O Lord of Lords, who are you in this terrible form? I bow to you. Have mercy on me. Krishna answers calmly, I am time, the destroyer of worlds. I have come to consume all beings. Those words, they still echo through centuries. Even scientists quote them when they talk about atomic energy. But Krishna isn't speaking of violence. He is revealing a truth about impermanence. Everything born must pass. Every form must dissolve. That's the rhythm of existence, not cruelty but cosmic order. When Krishna says, I am time, he is saying, I am the flow that keeps creation alive. Arjuna realizes that the war was never his burden alone. It was part of a larger divine design. Arjuna falls to his knees, his heart overflows with awe and fear. He says, O infinite Lord, I bow to you from every side. You are the origin of all. You are the father of this universe. For the first time, Arjuna truly sees, not with eyes but with the soul. And suddenly he feels small but not worthless. He feels like a wave realizing it belongs to the ocean. He apologizes to Krishna. Forgive me if I have ever called you friend or spoke casually with you, unaware of your greatness. This moment is beautiful because even though Krishna has always been divine, Arjuna now sees him with reverence, not familiarity. Arjuna, overwhelmed, says, O Lord, I have seen what no one else has seen. My heart is trembling. Please show me again your gentle form, the one I know. Krishna smiles, the way a teacher smiles at a student who has finally understood. He withdraws the cosmic form and returns to his human shape. Do not be afraid, Arjuna, he says softly. Behold again my friend form. And just like that, the infinite becomes intimate again. Because the divine isn't meant to stay distant and frightening. It's meant to be close, personal and loving. Why did Krishna show Arjuna the Vishwarup? Not to scare him, but to awaken him. Arjuna was doubting, how can I fight? How can I kill? Krishna shows him that life and death are just movements in the grand design. The soul never dies, it only changes form. The universal form was not just a vision, it was the truth of oneness made visible. Krishna was saying, Arjuna, this war isn't just yours. Every action, every event, every fate flows through me. Do your duty and let me handle the rest. That's the real lesson of chapter 11. When you surrender control to the divine, you gain peace beyond understanding. This chapter also shows a side of Krishna that's beyond comprehension. He is not just a friend, guide, or teacher, his existence itself. But even after revealing this terrifying cosmic form, he returns to being gentle Krishna. Why? Because God knows the limits of human hearts. He shows us his vastness only to remind us and then comfort us with love. He is saying, I am infinite, yes, but I am also your companion, your inner voice, your friend. That balance between awe and intimacy is what makes Krishna so deeply human and divine at once. You might wonder, what does this cosmic vision mean for us today? We may not see God's universal form with our eyes, but we can feel it if we pause long enough. When you look at the night sky, when you feel peace watching the ocean, when you sense something inscarred in silence, that's Krishna showing you a glimpse of his cosmic self. You don't need divine eyes to see him, you just need divine awareness. Every time you surrender your ego, you see more of him. Every time you let go of control, you align with the cosmic plan. After seeing this vision, Arjuna no longer resists. He understands his role isn't to decide outcomes, but to act with faith. That's the key. We suffer because we try to control what's beyond us all. But Krishna says, do your best, I'll take care of the rest. If you are struggling, confused, or afraid, chapter 11 whispers, trust higher plan. You can't see the whole picture, but Krishna can. And he's written your story with love. Even if some pages feel painful, the Vishwarupa isn't a fantasy. It's a metaphor for oneness. It's the realization that there is only one energy appearing as millions of forms. The tree, the bird, the wind, the child, the pain, the joy, all are waves in one divine ocean. And when you start seeing life this way, hatred dies, fear fades, and peace rises. Because how can you harm another when you realize they are another version of you? That's Krishna's ultimate message. See unity in diversity, that's true vision. When Arjuna bows down and says, you are the universe itself, it's not just devotion, it's liberation. Because surrender isn't weakness, it's the highest strength, the strength to trust life completely. You stop saying, why me? And start saying, guide me. You stop fighting the flow and start floating in it peacefully, powerfully, gracefully. So, how can we live this teaching daily? Number 1, see the divine order behind every event. Even the delays, failures, and heartbreaks are not random. 2. Practice surrender. Say, Krishna, if this is your plan, I'll trust it. 3. Find the infinite in simple. The same energy that burns in stars flows in your heartbeat. 4. Live with gratitude. Every breath is a reminder that you belong to something eternal. When you practice this, you slowly begin to see the cosmic form in your own life, not as a vision of light, but as a deep, unshakable peace. What if the real cosmic form isn't out there but inside you? Think about it. Your body holds billions of cells, your mind holds infinite thoughts, your heart holds endless emotions. You are already a small version of the universe, a living reflection of Krishna's grand design. That's why he said, I am the self-seated in every being. The universe doesn't exist outside you, it exists through you. After seeing Krishna's vastness, Arjuna's heart naturally moves from fear to love. He says, Krishna, now I understand. You are beyond form, but you take form to help us see love. This leads directly into chapter 12, where Krishna teaches Bhakti Yoga, the path of pure devotion. Because once you have seen the infinite, the only thing left is love. If Krishna were sitting beside you right now, he might say, you keep worrying about outcomes, but I already hold every outcome inside me. You are part of my cosmic play, so play your role with courage and love. You are never alone. You are my reflection. And maybe you'd smile and whisper back to him, then let me play my role well, Krishna, without fear, without doubt, with full faith in you. That's what this chapter is about: the courage to see, the humility to surrender, and the wisdom to live in trust. If this message helped you to see the life from a higher lens, share it with someone who needs a reminder that their story is a part of something divine. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul Hacks for more life lessons from Krishna spoken in a modern voice for modern hearts. I'll be uploading chapter 12 next Sunday, where Krishna reveals the secret of true devotion. Until then, see the divine behind every moment, trust the plan, and let your heart rest in faith. Jai Shri Krishna.